Hello and good evening and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. Hello.
Yes.
Thank you guys for taking the time out to join us this powerful evening as we are rolling into another phase of our Loveology series. It's going to be another exciting night, some great opportunities, and I want to say this up front: throw your comments in the comment as far as those. Facebook, I think, and those that are on YouTube can do the same thing. So we want to hear your comments and I ask those questions, right? Don't ask too deep ones because we didn't put a disclosure up tonight, so we can't cuss. I mean, but anyway, we want to welcome you guys, all of our social media base. Thank you for tuning in tonight for this exciting evening. It's gonna be a great show.
Yes, it is.
It is going to be a great show. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to our guest. Mr. Donovan will be with us shortly after we talk about our hot topics tonight and one of those good things that are going on. All right. So great show tonight. Great show. Great.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Good. I know part of you under the weather, but we're sending you healing energy.
Thank you. Yeah. Mother COVID got us.
Oh yeah,
a little bit. So it was a rough night last night. Just between, because I also got my little Smile Direct, my aligners.
Oh yeah.
It was a whole thing of coughing and sneezing and teeth being pulled into place.
Really?
I'm like, I just want to sleep. But feeling much better today. Thank you, guys.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Harold, how are you?
You know, I'm doing as Les Brown always says. I'm doing better than I think I am.
All right, I like that. I like the orange.
Yeah, orange.
Have you gotten some furniture? Have you gotten some furniture for that house? That's what I want to
know. No, we haven't gotten any furniture for the house. You still hear the echo.
I'm telling you. You gotta take your clothes off more on Instagram. That's a picture that we need to start posting up on the
show. We got to see the real side. What did your shirt say?
Viewership.
Yeah, I know, right? What did your shirt say here?
What's that?
What does your T-shirt say? I mean, your
sweatshirt. It says "Me versus Me."
Oh, see, there you go. Okay. That's appropriate.
I am my only competition.
Only competition.
That's
wow.
Right.
Where'd you find? I love that color. That looks good on you. Good. Where's your color palette? Makes you look good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Where'd you get that?
I don't know where I got it. I'm always looking for interesting T-shirts and hoodies. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you order online or did you say the store?
I can't remember. I've had it a while, so I don't remember where I got it from.
Wow, I like that.
That's nice.
Yeah, that
is.
Nice
color.
Yeah, it's a great color. I like the orange.
Orange.
You're in the South. That's what they say in the South.
Right.
Out here in California, they say orange.
Yes.
You're right about that. But it depends on which part of the South that you're living in, because I don't know if it might be the deep South or the upper South, whatever you want to call. I mean, North Carolina is considered upper, in the situation.
I don't know. They in the South.
Yeah, well,
just because they say North don't mean they're not in the South.
Right.
That is the truth. All right. Well, that's good. Let's go ahead and dig into some wonderful hot topics. All right. And see what we got going on in the world that y'all need to know about and make some changes in your life, not to follow what they doing. All right. Yes. But go ahead. What you got first talk about?
Well, let's talk about Terry Crews.
Oh, well,
Y'all know he apologized to Black Lives Matter now. He went on Trevor Noah. Yes. He went on there and he talked about him, apologizing to Black Lives Matter, saying that his tweets last year were, insensitive to the moment that was going on with the George Floyd, situation, around the death of George Floyd.
Right.
And that he wanted to apologize to those people. And you have people who are saying, well, he's apologizing because I think for some strange reason, I don't know if he's been canceled or his career has been canceled. He's been doing major work still with America's Got Talent. But other than that, though, I mean.
Well, he's got this new project he's just taking on, too. He's joining the Marvel. I think he's joining Marvel as a character, something like that. I was reading the other day.
Yeah.
As well. So, I mean, kudos to him, as far as that's concerned. I mean, I have my ins and outs about Terry Crews. I mean, I don't want to put stuff out there like that. Okay, that's not the idea of bringing hot topics up. But, however, I think that, in this...
Go ahead and tell the truth behind the truth, JB. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, all of the allegedly things that have happened to him over the past, at the end of the day, I think that here's the thing: if you put yourself out there like that, in different situations, you're subject for things to happen. Okay, I mean, if you play to a certain community, let's say if you play to the same gender loving community, then you're going to experience things from the same gender loving community. That's what you play to. Okay, what do they call it? Pay for gay, or what is it they call it now?
Oh, I mean, that is one.
Pay for gay. It's a lot of pay for gay going on, this day and time. And if you play up to things like that, you're subject to those experiences coming your way. Don't get on TV acting like you're a victim. Okay, at the end of the day, when you put yourself right in the middle of something at the end of the day, and I know that's past news, but it just kind of goes in context of what's going forward with it. But just if you're gonna be cool, just be cool with everybody. And don't center yourself out about stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I'm glad. I think it's wonderful when people evolve and learn lessons, and so let's, I just give him space to grow, because some of the stuff he said in the past was kind of startling, but I think sometimes people say things, have a knee-jerk reaction, or sometimes they say it just to get a reaction. Right. And then once you have time to contemplate and think about things, you realize, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. So, we're all human and evolving. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, I told you, and the beauty. I love how you put that. That is the beauty of authenticity. Which we talk about our tag. Our mission statement of the show is that you may have made some errors, but be willing to be accountable for the errors that you have made and pursue your authenticity in the process of that. However that happens, but just be honest about it.
Well, let's talk about Terry Crews. Authenticity.
Okay.
I understand that he has a career to protect,
right,
in an industry that is based on public approval, or making sure that your name is clean. But I wish with his career he stands on some sort of integrity on where he stands, because even with the Black Lives Matter movement, I understand that he apologized. I know he apologized to Gabrielle Union with the situation with her issues with racism on the show America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that his career has kind of, people's opinions, especially within the culture, has been kind of wobbly since his groping from his agent. Right. And his masculinity, allegedly, and his masculinity has been in question. But it's just the fact that, Terry seems to always play both sides of the fence. And I know it's the simple fact of career, wanting to make sure that his career is intact. But like, if you're going to put yourself out there to make opinions about that, stand on it and leave it alone. Right. Absolutely. I'll just leave it alone.
Right. Absolutely.
Parnell.
What's next?
Right.
All right, Terry.
Well, let me done with Terry. That's enough of Terry. We spent
way too much time on Terry.
Let me ask you another question. Do y'all think Biden is approving Black lives with this presidency? Since we're on Black Lives Matter, do you think he's approving the African American community within his administration?
What do you mean, improving?
Yes,
or building a relationship.
Building a relationship, because there's been a lot of critiquing in the news, especially with Van Jones on CNN.
Which we're going to get to.
Which we're now sort of on him in a way, because it goes hand in hand. Okay. But it's just the fact that Van Jones was critiquing the fact that Democrats, including Biden, was overachieving in the beginning of his administration, and him telling the American people, especially African American people, what he's going to do, but underachieving at towards the end, and which makes people doubt that he is actually doing the work and really failing with his Black constituents. Saying, and that's why I asked that question. Do you think he's improving Black lives? Because he has a very diverse cabinet. We got a Black vice president. We have now a Black woman who is now Supreme Court judge. We have also Hispanics as well as trans within his administration. But do you think that he's now improving the African American community within this country? I just want to put that out there.
This is what I think. Biden is one of those people who kind of wants to keep the peace rather than really moving the country forward. And the United States has a bad history of like kowtowing to white frustration or white anger of not being in charge of everything anymore. So instead of going like, you know what, we have ruled for the entire length of this country, it's time to move aside and let other people have a say. But I also think what happens with Democrats and Republicans is very much like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. Democrats keep hoping this time she's not going to move the ball. This time she's not going to move the ball, and I'm going to kick it. And every single time, every single time Lucy would snatch the football, and that's kind of what is happening with the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats keep hoping for bipartisanship and let's do this and let's be fair. And the Republicans are like, yeah, that's cute, and I'm snatching the ball and changing the conversation. So it's really got to be a thing of the Democratic Party has to stop being reactive to what Republicans are going to do and be proactive about what they want to get done. Otherwise, we are looking at a loss in the the midterms in the midterm election. So it's really going to have to be a thing of stop trying to focus things on what Republicans are going to accept and really put forward what you want to make happen, because they're going to be in opposition regardless.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Harold, go ahead. You got a point.
Well, I don't watch TV, but to me, I think it appears that there's been improvement, but there's been so much damage and so much harm to the African American community. I think it would take a lot more effort. So I think there's an appearance of improvement, just like Dylan said about the appointments and the cabinets, but that's just an appearance. So I'm not sure.
And the messaging is so off too. I noticed with Republicans, messaging is always on point. Democrats, not so good. And I think that's the issue with Democrats, is that they don't know how to message their what they have done. And I think, to be honest with you, that's what really suffers a lot of the politicians that go out for midterms. Warren X is now trying to beat this Herschel guy, which I'm not even a fan of in Georgia. And the messaging is still off. But on top of that, I think Biden needs to work hard on the fact that, okay, if you're going to do certain things like loan forgiveness for college, for student loan debt, you need to put it out that I'm going to do something about it, instead of just flamming clear across, the board, because that's what's actually happening right now. A lot of people are wondering, what are you doing? It's bad enough that you got us into a Ukraine situation, I know some people are wanting or hating at the same time. But I just wish he would just say, I wish the messaging was better. That's
well, let me say, if he forgives student loans, I would say, yes, he is improving things for me.
Well, exactly. I think for a whole lot of people, exactly. Well, the thing about it is that, when you have people within your own party that are not in agreement with you, okay? Because let's just face it. The fact that the Democratic Party has its racial discrepancies, as well as we're pushing things on the Republican Party, but they're very hidden. So you figure that all of these councilmen and congressmen that have been sitting in Washington for all these years, and I'm going to cut it off with this, it took them 50 years to get an anti-lynching bill passed. Okay, all this time. All right. So if that doesn't tell you enough that what's going on behind the scenes is not a point of agreement, then what else can we say? Really. But anyway, enough said about that.
I know, right?
We're going to go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to have our next love expert relationship. Mr. Donovan will be with us real shortly. It's going to be a great show tonight, guys. So get back, get your little glass of wine, or whatever you need to get relaxed. We'll see you in a minute. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you once again for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth. Our exciting time tonight on The Truth Behind the Truth. All right, let's get ready to dig in. For the welcoming to the show for the very first time, and I'm sure, as we always say, with our wonderful guests, it won't be the last. And as we always extend the opportunity for them to come back and share with us at any given time. So we're getting to know this gentleman and his philosophies about building great relationships. So we're really, really excited to bring to our show tonight. And Don's going to share all of his accolades with you.
Yes. Let me tell you, he is, I consider what is Black excellence.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, this man is known as Philly's pitchmaker.
All right.
Plus, he's an advisor. He's a radio personality. Plus, he's a love doctor. Well, let's just say it like this. He knows he's an expert in love. Plus, he's formerly as known as the not formally known, but he has he's the former president of the African American Chambers of Commerce of 3 states. Three states: really? New Jersey, Philadelphia, and Delaware. Now, if I'm wrong, you can correct me on that. Okay. But I also want to say that we are just, this is just delighted just to have this guy on our show, and we cannot wait to have him. His name is Donovan S. West. Yes. Relationship coach Donovan S. West. Hey, man.
Yes.
Hey, yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Donovan. Thank you for taking the time out to share with us tonight and pour into us. Pour into us as gentlemen, pouring into us as our listening audience. Thank you again for being here.
Yeah, and you're a linguist too, of 3 languages. Linguist, he's a linguist.
You guys, I mean, shout out to your producers, shout out to everybody that's digging up all this stuff. I'm like, yo, like y'all putting all this stuff out here that I'm like, where did they grab that from?
We have an excellent casting producer.
Yeah.
Right.
Flash agent, like, come on.
Yes, exactly.
We want to welcome you to the Black Ball-Headed Brotherhood.
Right.
So Donovan, we've been talking about Loveology for the past few weeks, and one of the things that we have been discussing, that it seems like it's really easy to get into relationship, but it is difficult sustaining relationships. What would you say are some of the keys to sustaining relationships?
Yeah. Well, the number one key to sustaining the relationship is knowing the value of what you have, right? You have to know the value of what you have. So looking at that relationship, you have to understand at the end of the day that this person that you're in a relationship is, with, they are, they were able to be the person that made it from all the other stories that you have to tell about, the people you met that didn't make it, the people that you met that were off, the people that you met that looked good on paper, but there wasn't any synergy, right? This person, they cleared all of that. And you really think about that's a great deal of value that they bring to the table in terms of their uniqueness, how you guys gel, and things of that nature. So first of all, you have to know the value. You can't maintain, extend anything that you don't really value to begin with, right? So when, I'll take it, I'll share this with you, right? So I remember having this, in this conversation that turned into a debate that turned into a little bit more, but it was about plastic cups. And the red cups, right? The red cups will be all,
Parnell got one over there.
So there were a bunch of red cups that that were in the house, and all we drank in the house was for the most part water, and didn't have many visitors or anything of that nature. So I would typically just wash the cup, wash the cup and use the red cup again. They instead, would just throw the cup away and then just buy more cups. I said, why don't you just buy more cups? I'm like, why don't you just rinse out the cup and use it again?
Okay.
And the reason why is because from my background, when I was young, younger coming up, I was poor. And so we repurposed that red cup back in the day, even if you were drinking anything, Kool-Aid, whatever it was, right?
Right.
But it never left me in terms of the value of that cup. So I was willing to maintain that cup because of the value that I saw in it.
Wow.
Right? She didn't see that, right? It was easy to dispose. And so when you think about it from that perspective, right? When a relationship is easy to dispose, then it's easy to mess up. It's easy to lose sight of why it fell apart. And so you got to know about the value first. in order to maintain a relationship. In this microwave society, it's extremely hard to do that because we're under the false sense of there being this bountiful amount of women out there, men out there that we can engage with. And that's really not the case. It's really not true. The truth of the matter is that you can see more, but what's for you remains the same, right?
Right.
Wow. Good point. Love that. So tell us, how did you get involved in this, being the therapist in relationships? I mean, was it going through a litany of relationships, finding that key point about yourself, or how did your self-discovery come about to let you know that you had the right antidote for relationships?
You know, great question, JB. I was a hoe with a good heart. You know,
okay. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a movie that I'm writing right now.
I think I still may be that.
I thought I'd shake it up a little bit, because But no, I mean it's true, but there's more to that though, right? So back in the day, I was always, you know, from a young age, I was always a person that was into communications. Number one was communication. So as a Jamaican kid growing up with a lisp, I really had a lot of emphasis on learning how to communicate effectively so that you can understand what I'm saying and get my perspective, as opposed to just struggling with what or how I'm trying to say it, right? So communications was key with me. And then of course, psychology. And between those two things, I got into just understanding relationships from a familial perspective, from a more intimate perspective in the workplace. And I became a big fan of it early. So around 2009, a colleague of mine invited me to be a part of a team. And what we would do is provide a male and female perspective on relationships, and actually talk to singles, married people, you know, in different stages of relationships, and provide that male-female perspective. And then it went on to actually being picked up by a radio station who had a show called Whispers in the Dark, and we would write articles that were tied into the topic of the evening. And, you know, it started to expand from there. And then I created some years later, after being an offsite producer and being in this community of other therapists and coach and things of that nature, I created an event called the Relationship Script, which created the kind of space and atmosphere for people to start utilizing these muscles that usually lay dormant due to cultural restrictions that we impose on ourselves.
Okay, I like that. Yes. Very good. Very good.
It's like encouraging the people to do the work. Because I know so many times I've had conversations with people who want to be coupled up and be married. I'm like, well, what are you doing in preparation for that? You know, what are you bringing to the table? Because you can't just show up. Well, I'm cute. Like, there's lots of cute out there. You know, you find cute in every 5 steps. But somebody who is actually compatible with you, who is willing to put up with your shit, and you put up with theirs, that's a whole other thing. And when I talk about, you know, marriage and all those things, I'm just like, see, marriage is when you get on each other's nerves, but you still find a way to find the love and come back to that.
This is true.
Dating, you can walk out of like going, well, we don't share no property, we don't got this, whatever. I can walk up out of here. But once you walk down that aisle, whether it's religious ceremony or not, you are made a commitment to this person to work through the stuff. And every couple that has been together, you know, this friends of mine who've been together since high school and stuff. And when their anniversary comes, it's like, oh, we've been through it. We've been poor, we've been rich, we've been middle class, you know, we've had this going on, we've had arguments, we've had fight, we've had loss, we've had gains, but here we are 20-something years later, 30-something years later, and we're still together, and we've grown closer because we weathered that storm.
I totally agree with you. And let me also add a piece to that. You know, just a slight caveat to it, right? Once you walk down the aisle, just pause before you even get to the aisle for a moment, right? And just think for a second, you know, even when you talk about, you know, what does it take to get to the next level? What does it take to be, you know, successful? It's not that it's such a mystery, right? It's just we're looking for the most convenient way to get there, right? We're looking for the answer that we can actually digest, the answer that is most convenient for us. And the truth of the matter is that word, that ugly word, work, it keeps popping up. And we're like, okay, wait, I'm gonna wait for the next one. I'm gonna wait for the next answer, something that's a little bit more, you know, in tune with my sense of entitlement in terms of how this should come to me versus how I should pursue it, right? And that's the key thing to really understand, is because too many people are chasing this aisle, this ring, right? And they look at marriage as being the destination, and that it's not. It's just a higher stage, okay? It's just so at the end of the day, you're not, once you get there, okay, great, you got there. It's like that great job that you got, right? Well, you don't just, how long are you going to celebrate?
Right.
You're going to celebrate that you got that great job. Whatever that great job is, or wherever you see yourself in terms of as a business owner, whatever. Once you get there, congratulations for 1 second. It's like your favorite video game, right? Congratulations, you got to the level. What do you got to do right after that? You got to play. You got to keep working. So the problem is that people are looking at marriage as being, we got here.
Right.
Pause. Like, did you understand that the person that you got married to, they have some stuff that you got to put up with, but you have to ask yourself this question: am I willing to engage at a level where I can embrace that, deal with it in a way that is not going to be toxic?
Right. Wow.
I'm not talking about me putting up with you.
Right.
I'm not talking about me dealing with you. I'm not talking about me enduring you. I'm talking about me just loving you.
Right. So would you say that I think that majority of people, unfortunately, step into relationships with the exit strategy already in mind and not willing to do the work, to get past the exit strategy, because it's always, well, if you don't do this, then I'm gone. Or if you change this, then I'm gone. So it's like they step into the relationship,
but hear that word, right?
Already in mind.
Hear that word, if is tied into a form of contract called quid pro quo, right? Which is also the most generally used and abused and worst kind of love that we execute. Okay? That's it. Oh, I'm gonna love you as long as you. Oh, I'm gonna keep loving you as long as you. There's always that if you, then I'll, right? Like it's a program, right? Stop.
Right.
The reason why we're supposed to get married in a church or before God, right? Whoever you praise as God, but God is supposed to be the architect, right? The blueprint for love, and that form of love is agape love.
Right.
Agape love is the highest form of love, right? And so agape love is love for love's sake. It means that I'm going to love you like how you would love your son or daughter or whatever, right? How they can never do wrong, and they're going to break your heart all kinds of ways, but you still love them regardless. Next to that, right, is how am I able to love my partner in a way that at the end of the day, regardless of what they do, don't do, I'm still going to love them. And that's the reason why in most cases we want God to be a witness, our friends and family to be a witness, because all of those entities form the village that keeps us, right, on check, right? They keep us, in check. They keep us of purpose in that relationship in terms of how we're supposed to actually be moving. So that's the reason why many relationships are falling apart, is because we are too busy thinking about, man, did you see what was this now on the gram, on Facebook, on Snapchat? Yo, that right there, like, yeah, we're always looking. We're always looking. And there's a false sense of abundance. There's a false sense of abundance. Right? Because again, who are you? You're unique. You're as unique as your fingerprint. And so the person that you're going to engage with on that level, they're as unique as a fingerprint in terms of how you're going to fit. Just because a whole lot of pieces have been added to the puzzle, you got to remember you only need one.
Right. So would you say, I know you got some questions. So would you say that taking it back to, let's take it off of the relationship for the moment, but that relationship that you need to have with yourself. So self-love, I think, indicates a whole lot of the issues that are out there, because when you don't love yourself, even in that place of agape, even that unconditional spot, it's really a difficult place to love someone else into that space. So how do you gauge people into a place of self-love first, because you can't talk about a relationship with somebody else if you don't have a relationship with yourself, at the end of the day.
Look at yourself in the mirror, butt ass naked, and say, it's okay. Right? Look at, think about your faults, your blemishes, your bruises, your dents, where you have a diminished capacity, where you fail, and say, it's okay. Okay, you know, it's a strengths-based approach, right? Here are the things that I look at that are my strengths and great, right? But then there's also awareness of where you have some deficiencies, and embrace it and say, you know what, that's me. It doesn't mean that I don't have a spirit of continuous improvement,
right?
Because I do. But also in terms of me loving on myself, regardless of, right, in spite of these issues that I have, these challenges that I have, I am demonstrating the first level, right, or the first form, the first manifestation of agape love that I'm capable of, right? So when we say, oh, you got to love yourself first, but you got to love yourself unconditionally,
right?
Like you got to love yourself without barriers, without limits, without restrictions. And if you can do that, then you are now capable of loving someone else because you've demonstrated those muscles, those abilities, right? So you are the first example of it. And the way that you have to do it is not just looking in the mirror, but also forgiving yourself. Get a little more mature, right? There's a whole lot of dumb stuff that I've done in my life, right? And if I run across people, I'm quick to be like, yo, listen, about such and such, I'm sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Wes, you about to die? No, I'm not about to die. Not that I know of, please God, right? But it's you forgive yourself and ask for forgiveness and try to repair things in that space. But the best thing in terms of that you can do to get on that road to loving yourself is first forgive yourself. You're your number one hater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead and show that hoodie again, Harold. Show that hoodie again.
Me versus me, perfect.
I gotta send him something in the Cash App because
well, I want to ask this question since we're on the on this topic of loving oneself, and you have touched on social media too as well. Do you think that gets in the way of that process? Because we want to live our lives through somebody else's life. Even with relationships, we see this post called relationship goals, or this is what you have posts of couples that are seeming to live this perfect life, and it's more performance than authentic. Do you think that is the root killer of what is going on in this society when it pertains to relationships?
Absolutely. The number one thing you can do to hate on yourself is compare. It's number one thing.
Yes.
Compare is just not fair. So it doesn't matter. I don't care.
That should be a T-shirt. Compare is not fair.
Look, I'm half on that. All right. See me. Don't see my lawyer. See me.
I know, right?
All right, but listen. You brought it up. Past president, CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce for PA, New Jersey, Delaware. So run that. But yeah, comparisons, not fair at all. Not fair at all. And that's not a good thing to do. The other thing about it also is that let's be clear. There's always somebody that's better looking than you, that is in better shape than you, has more money than you. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. One of those things that reminds me, or that came to mind just now, is when Beyonce sitting with Jay-Z but looking at LeBron, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I saw that
on the court, right?
Yeah.
Again, another great example. You cannot be all to that person. You just can't. But what you can be is the combination of things that you are. You now create a unique bond, and that's what you got to focus on. So you have to focus on that. And social media is so unfair because why? It takes the highlights from our lives, and we do it, right? Of course, I don't want you to see me down and out. I don't want to show you that. So of course, I'm not gonna put that on blast. But here's the thing: you want to talk about relationship goals and how you ask the question around.
Don, let me interrupt you real quick. We got to go to a quick break real quick.
Okay.
We're going to pick up from that point where you were right there when we come back. All right. All right. We'll be right back after this quick break.
I'm going to go look at my
All right. And we're back.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth tonight, which is really powerful.
Yes, it is.
We got some good relationship information going on tonight. I hope you guys are taking it in, and you've already started sharing the show. But if you hadn't, make sure you share after the night show. Share with everybody out there so they can learn from this. This is what this is about. This is how you find your truth behind your truth, at the end of the day. And we're so grateful tonight to have Mr. Donovan S. West with us tonight. Powerful, powerful man here, y'all.
Yes.
See, and see, black folk know what's going on. Okay, I'm sorry to say. All right, but anyway. Go ahead, Donovan, what's your earlier point?
So I was just saying that, Harold asked a little earlier in terms of, relationships and extending the relationship and how to actually have relationships that have longevity, right? I think I heard that correctly. And, I talked earlier about the value of it, right? Knowing the value of your partner, but also you got to make sure that you have that friendship, right? Because friendship has to be the foundation. Through friendship, you can actually have greater transparency, and the representative is not as present. I would say as present as what typically would happen when you are just going straight into boo or bae mode, right? Someone that you want to actually, get into a more serious or intimate relationship with. So friendship is very key. The other part, of course, you got to be able to laugh together. Laughing having a sense of humor is very important because there are going to be plenty of serious moments and situations, but having a sense of humor allows there to be a buffer so that you can navigate through those tough and sticky times. Learning together is very key because the more you can learn together, the more that road, that journey that you took is very unique. And through that, now it becomes harder for someone else to come into that space and replace you or replace them, so to speak, as it relates to, what you've been through together. Praying together, demonstrating your faith and your fears, right? When you pray together, you talk about what your fears are and also what your objectives are, all in that prayer through your faith, right? And being able to do that is very key as well, because there are not as many people that are into faith as you would believe, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people throwing around, to God be the glory, and the first person I want to think is, you do that when you're accepting an award, but when it gets ugly, do you actually have faith? What do you do on a Tuesday afternoon as opposed to when you're posting on, Throwback Thursdays or something, right? So the key thing is making sure that you get a real one when it comes to some of those things, and the honesty and transparency through your communication when it comes to you being okay with those blemishes, those bumps, those bruises, the black eyes, all that stuff I talked about earlier in terms of accepting yourself. Then you're going to be more willing to share that because this is your truth behind the truth. You like that? Drop the mic.
Right. All right, there you go. Well, on that subject of transparency, I was watching an interview. I think it was on the Terman Hall, so with DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club, and his wife and him been married for a long, long time. And I hate to say it though, but no. What really shocked me was she told everybody within the on in this interview that she had faked it for 10 years with DJ Envy, which kind of threw everybody back, like, oh God, why did she put that out there? But on the subject of transparency, and we know sex is one of the situations that could make or break, besides finances, a relationship. Do you think when there is a situation like that is happening early within the relationship, you need to be at least, if that transparent with your partner instead of holding it for 10 years? I'm just saying. Do you think
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Just that's that goes without saying, but you should say, right? The pun intended, right? You should say that. You should talk. You should engage early, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's putting yourself, in her case, right, a 10-year sentence before she had the courage to say, hey, listen, this is really what my speed is. This is really what I like, blah, blah, blah. Or, again, testing out at least something as opposed to being locked up and restricted based off of fear. That's what happened, right? Fear of acceptance, fear that at the end of the day, his ego is going to be so hurt that he's going to go somewhere else or do something else. And there's a lot of fears that do come up depending on the person you're talking to, right? But again, if you know your value, if you have friendship, if you have a sense of humor, guess what happens? That same conversation you need to have, it's a different conversation.
Yes,
right. Like, you can sit there like, listen, Envy, listen, I know you hitting, I know you giving it your all. I see the sweat, right? Blah, blah, blah. But look, check this out, right? That's not it. Like, whatever. But the point is that if you have a friendship and you have a sense of humor and you have, all these things in play, it's easier to have that conversation. It's easier to have that conversation. Not to say it's an easier conversation to have overall, right? Because it's just a tough topic. Sex, intimacy, and money. You hit the nail on the head. Those are the two top things that for many people, it's just hard to really engage in the conversation. So, you wanted to say that a lot earlier. And I think at the end of the day, the number one problem that we have is that there are too many representatives at the table. You're just sitting there like, you know what, this person's a good catch. I'm gonna let them get away with that. I'm gonna let them. Well, if at the end of the day, your objective really is for something a little longer term, you got to ask yourself a question like, am I okay long term dealing with something that I also am gonna tie in something you mentioned earlier, voting, right? She didn't cast her vote. So guess what happened? Envy running around like the Republicans just doing anything on her, right?
Right.
Yes.
She's not using her. So again, her vote is what? It shows that she has a voice. It also shows what her interest is, right? You got to vote in that relationship. So communicating early is about saying which part of the aisle are you on.
So let me integrate this real quick, and I know you guys have got a couple of other questions. So one of the things that I think convolute relationships, you mentioned on the top three. However, I think people so much go into relationships nowadays with the agenda of sex in mind. Okay, and not really taking that opportunity to have that conversation, and so do you really feel that a lot of relationships fail because sex becomes either convoluted or too much of the emphasis of that relationship from the beginning?
Absolutely. I mean, if that's the goal, then get it on. If it's working for you, cool. The problem is that at the end of the day, whatever it is that you value is the very same thing that your relationship is going to be based off of. Right. So if you out here, everybody is chasing the bag, this person's chasing the bag, this person get the bag, all this. Okay, great. You got the bag. Now you're more attractive because you got the bag. Whoever you get because you have the bag, at the end of the day, somebody else is going to have a bigger bag, and you're going to realize that the bag wasn't enough. Same thing for sex. Same thing for sex is at the end of the day, if you think, okay, well, I'm hitting it just a way that like toes are curling, back is arching, like they're sitting there walking around, during the daylight with a flashlight. I'm that dude, right? Again, slow it all the way down. Slow it all the way down. You're good right now, but at the end of the day, if that's what the value system is, all it takes is a good advertisement from someone else who's projecting that same kind of energy, right? And then what you're going to do, you're going to be curious. Like, well, they did say they, you know what I mean? Like, I am curious like George. So you got to pause on, again, just what is it that you're going after? And if that's what you're going after, it's okay. I talk all the time in my different formats and platforms about knowing what season you're in. And if you're in a season right now, but that's all you want is the yams, then just be upfront about it. It's okay because there is an abundance of people, regardless of what season you're in, that's also in that same season. It's okay. So when you want to talk about, I want a relationship. Okay, there's people for that. You know what? Right now, I'm in between relationships. Right now, I'm single and I'm not available. I'm just healing. But I won't entertain you. I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth to engage you. Slow that down, Wes. What I mean, right? I want to entertain you, right? But I do not have the bandwidth to engage you. And we can come back to that after commercial or your question.
Yeah, no, I was gonna. I know that I know these two got a couple of questions. I just wanted to touch on the point where you mentioned about the singleness and understanding the purpose of when you're single to be able to be in a place of healing, so that you can be that right person for that next relationship when it is in your space.
Absolutely. So I mean, again, it's paramount, right? I always say it's equivalent to cleaning your palate. So the situation I use is that, a lot of people have done wine tasting, right? People out there that love wine tasting. What is it that you do between, brands of wine that you're tasting, that you're trying out? What do you do? Right? You have a swig of water. You might have a little bit of bread. Right. There's a number of things that you're doing. And that is called cleaning your palate. Now, the reason why you have to clean your palate is because if you drink the next wine, it's already negotiated by the last wine you had. Well, guess what? Your last relationship was that last wine that you had, right? The next relationship you're about to get into is going to be negotiated because you still have the aftertaste, right? From the last relationship. You have to clean your palate. We're not intentional and deliberate about going through the process of cleaning our palate in between relationships, whether we are serial monogamous, or whether it's someone who just are used to having that warm body in bed, it doesn't matter. We still all need to clean our palate in between those relationships.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Pernell.
No, I'm just gonna say that's absolutely. I'm sitting there nodding my head like, yep.
That's that warm body in bed.
Because I think I was one of those people who I was happy when I was single, so I was happy when I got married. You know what I mean? Because I was happy in my own company, and over these last 12 years that we've been together, learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about my husband. And one of the things that I found that made a difference was when we stopped thinking each other was going to be anyone else than who we are. It's like, oh, I wish he would be this. Oh, I wish he'd be that. It's like, nope, this is who he is. There are going to be clothes on the floor coming from the front door to the bedroom. And I just know, we used to have a thing about like, I hate when you pick up my clothes. I'm like, well, I hate when you leave the clothes on the floor. So I'm going to have to accept the fact that you're going to leave clothes on the floor. You have to accept the fact that I'm going to, when I pick them up. And so it stopped being a big issue. And it's actually kind of something we kind of laugh about. And it's like, why is this here? I don't know. I know you don't. And, it took all that tension out of that because we made it like in the long run, is it really that important? Is that a make or break? There's no violence. There's, there's not stealing going on. None of that is happening. So I'm like, okay, I can pick up a sock, move a shoe.
That's a very good point that you bring up, right? And I remember when I was getting some certificates out of the Gottman Institute on relationships. And one interesting statistic came up where they talked about over 60% of successful relationships are relationships where you got to understand at the end of the day, the majority of the things that are in that relationship, right, you can't change. In terms of the things that you have challenges with, you're not going to be able to change it, right? So you have to really make that decision as to whether or not that thing that is irking you, that whatever getting to you that you may not like, is something that's really actually a game changer. Is something that's going to break the camel's back, right? So you got to really be clear about that because, again, you can argue for the next 50 years, or you can realize, look, this is what I signed up for, right? This is what I signed up for. So have that conversation, and if for whatever reason that one thing that you're talking about is really important, and you've done the inventory, now you just got to get to deeper levels of communication. You got to communicate with higher levels of intimacy in terms of why that's important. It may be that situation may reflect as a lack of respect for something that you said is extremely important to you. So have the conversation and say, listen, it's not that you leave the clothes everywhere. It's the fact that I told you that in my space, I'm a little OCD. And this really is, I struggle with getting my day going when my place is in a certain kind of disarray. It's hard for me to process mentally, right? As a professional, when I'm working from home, when I have all these things that I feel compelled to address before I get to my workday, and these things are not things that I even did. So if I can get there with you in that conversation and be more intimate and more clear, more transparent, even at a granular level in terms of where I'm at emotionally, now congratulations, that person, right? They have to now be accountable and make some adjustments, start to make some progress towards that. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, that's very, very good. I love that. We're going to get ready for another quick break. I know, Harold, I'll let Harold, you can have the last question when we come back from break with that, and then we'll wrap it up from that point. But so much, guys, so much good information tonight. If you're just tuning in with us, you're missing it, okay? I'm telling you. But go back, all right, and listen and review the show. Go back from the beginning of these shows. It's been really, really powerful. Oh, yeah, definitely. But we'll be right back after this quick break. All right, and we're back, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth. It has been very, very rewarding. I see Donovan had to step away for a second there. It's all good. You live, you gotta go. All right. You definitely gotta go. But anyway, we didn't want to encourage everybody. I know that a few of you have not put anything in the chat. However, if you have a quick question that you
we have a question from the audience.
Oh, do you? Okay,
question. Go ahead, for Donovan from Ver. Ver is a 57-year-old African-American woman. She hasn't dated in over 8 years. She's skeptical about online dating, but wants to date. What advice would you give her to get back into the dating scene?
Wow.
Number one, breathe. Breathe.
Okay. Wow.
Number two, have fun. Okay, just have fun. Keep it light. Remember, if you say, if you press like or you get a little alert that there's a match, the match is just preliminary. It's okay. There's no obligation. You're in complete control. Keep it simple. Also, be very transparent about what it is that you're looking for, what season you're in. So you want to make sure that you state that up front in terms of if you're just dating from a standpoint of, someone that can, you can engage with. Just keep it light, then that's great. If you're just getting to know someone, that's perfectly fine. If you're dating with intention, meaning I want to date you with the intention of a long-term relationship, make sure that you're clear about that also. Communicate about what your preferences in terms of communication overall. If you're okay with text, great. But if you really prefer a conversation, make that known that you would like to graduate right to an actual conversation early, meaning we can talk through that platform in terms of social media. But have fun, keep it light, and just know at the end of the day, it's no different than being in person. It really isn't, because at the end of the day, you still have to use those same senses to figure out whether or not this person is phony or fake. People showing up online, they got on they got that clothes on looking a certain kind of way, is no different than somebody having their Easter best at that lounge or bar or restaurant that you met them at. There's no difference. Just listen with the spirit of discernment so that you can see who's phony and who's fake.
Gotcha. So Donovan, if folks want to follow you or get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Easy. You can follow me at The Relationship Script on Instagram or at Donovan S. West on Instagram. On The Relationship Script, every Wednesday, I do something at 8 p.m. called Wednesdays with Wes. And you can ask me anything under the sun. Doesn't matter what your relationship status is. Doesn't matter what your preference is. It's 1 hour. Ask me anything. We have different guests, and I look forward to having some of you guys as guests as well on future episodes of Wednesdays with Wes on Instagram. And of course, Donovan S. West on Instagram and Donovan S. West on Facebook. You can reach out, ask me anything. And then if you want to do something longer term, of course, we can do that in terms of, some actual coaching. And then last but not least, I have a show on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM in Philadelphia that you can also see online through Facebook and YouTube. It's called Love and Life with my partner in crime, Carol Riddick.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me ask you this as the last question for this evening. So how do you see, the relationship between, couples coming together in this new age as a kind of a wrap up? How would you speak to that to help them that have these little struggles of finding themselves within these, relationships or building these pseudo relationships that they may think they're doing?
Number one, friendship. Double down, triple down on your friendship. Number two, check in with one another. Okay. One thing that I used to do with my daughter that I then evolved to actual relationships is I remember when my daughter would be like, yellow's my favorite color. And then we'll be out shopping, and she's like, oh no, I don't like that anymore. Okay. So I realized, okay, what's your color now? What's your favorite color now? What's your favorite food now? Check in with one another to see how things go. Because at the end of the day, we all evolve in different ways, shapes and forms, speeds, and all that other stuff. So we got to really check in with one another. Get someone to do a checkup on your relationship with, meaning a coach, a therapist, or whatever. Do that. We do that when it comes to our physical health, right? We do it when it comes to the house and the car, but we don't do it when it comes to mental health, relationship health. So do a check-in, not when you're having problems, just because. Because you may find out there's certain things that when you just went for your regular checkup, right, that you didn't know because you didn't feel that pain yet, right? So just do a checkup once in a while, just with someone that you trust, you know, so a professional ideally, or someone in the family that you really trust their judgment, and do that. Have fun. Have fun. I'm gonna say it again. Have fun. We're too intense. We're not, you know, if you can't look at your mate and laugh once in a while, you're doing something wrong. You better fix it.
Right. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that fact of have fun. I think that is one of the most beautiful things out there, is to find a way to have fun with the person you're with, and all the rest, I think, will pull in the energy, will pull it all in together. And then you will each know your truth behind your truth. You know,
one thing I wanted to interject.
Yes.
Your anxiety about engaging with the person that you're with because you're not having fun will be the catalyst for you engaging with someone else that gives you that space where you need to have it. But just remember that when you find yourself somewhere else, it's because the things that you need are you haven't manifested them at home. So having fun, or creating that kind of space to do that, reduces the anxiety so that you can still kind of communicate through the tough times. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Wow, beautiful. Loved it, man. This has been awesome tonight. I mean, awesome. Donovan, come back at any time. You know, hey, the door is open. You're welcome at the table at any time. Hey, I'm philosophied. I feel empowered now. I think we all are, you know, to change the world again. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth tonight. Again, follow Mr. Donovan West, and hey, make him blow up as we're all blowing up in this thing together. All right. Next week, be here, fellas. Be here. Dr. Freddie will be with us, okay, to open up some more doors for us.
Come on back, Donovan.
Yeah, come on back, Donovan. Y'all have a great night. Thank you for tuning in to what? The Truth Behind the Truth. Yeah. Good night, guys. Thank you.